recording again. Okay, so let's talk about periods. What are periods? Okay, so the periods in the periodic table are the horizontal rows, right? So, for example, if you have the periodic table again, right? So these are group one, group two, and then you have the transition elements, right, in between, and then you have group three, and then you have group four, five, six, seven, eight, right? Right. So if we have the periodic table here, right? So we have 6 periods in the periodic table. So these are the horizontal rows. Okay. So the horizontal rows in the periodic table are the periods. Acha, what do the periods tell you? Periods, जो होते हैं ना, they tell you the number of shells which are occupied by that atom. Take a number of shells which are occupied by the electrons in that atom. So for example, if you open up the periodic table, right? Uh, if you मतलब पता है कभी कभी ना some people say that the periodic table in some books it's written that periodic table has 7 periods. ठीक है, लेकिन कुछ books जो होती हैं they say कि the periodic table has 6 periods, and the reason is कि कभी कभी ना कुछ periodic table में ना हाइड्रोजन को ना अलग से लिखा जाता है right here. सही है. And
जी
in some in some references it's written it's a part of group 1. ठीक है, so if it's a
जी
part of group 1.
हमें तो 7 ही करवाया है। हाइड्रोजन बाय लिखा होता है लेकिन वो फिर भी ग्रुप 1 में ही काउंट होता है ना, तो हमें 7 लिखा है।
हाँ, यस इट इज काउंटेड इन ग्रुप 1, लेकिन ना इसका इट्स कंट्रोवर्शियल. द रीजन इज कि हाइड्रोजन ऑल ऑफ द ग्रुप 1 एलिमेंट्स आर मेटल्स, नंबर 1. ठीक है, और हाइड्रोजन और दे ऑल एग्जिस्ट इन सॉलिड स्टेट, राइट. एंड नंबर 2 ये है कि हाइड्रोजन जो है वो गैस है, इट्स अ नॉन मेटल, राइट. एंड हाइड्रोजन डजंट हैव एनी न्यूट्रॉन्स. सही, दैट आल्सो मेक्स इट डिफरेंट फ्रॉम ऑल अदर एलिमेंट्स. प्लस ये है कि हाइड्रोजन जो है it's not, it does not show the same properties as the group 1 metals. इसको अक्सर कभी कभी कुछ periodic table में अलग से लिखा जाएगा, कभी कुछ periodic table में it would be made part of group 1. So we can say, okay, we can say that the periodic table has 7 periods. ठीक है, लेकिन even if you consider for periodic tables in which hydrogen is written separately, ठीक है, उसमें जो period numbers है ना, they will start from 2. ठीक है, और अगर फॉर एग्जांपल हाइड्रोजन यहाँ ऊपर लिखा होगा ना, यहाँ इस तरह से, सो द पीरियड नंबर विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम 1. आई होप यू गेट दिस.
यस।
ओके, परफेक्ट. सो द पीरियड नंबर जो होता है ना, इट टेल्स यू द नंबर ऑफ ऑक्यूपाइड shells in that the number of shells which are occupied by the electrons in that element. So for example, hydrogen, right? Hydrogen belongs to the first period. That means that hydrogen has one electron, right? It's H1. So it only occupies like one shell, right? What is the second element on the periodic table?
सेकंड सोडियम।
No, check करो periodic table second वाला कौन सा है?
लिथियम।
Yes, ठीक है. So lithium is the second element on the periodic table. So even lithium जो है, lithium उसमें उसका क्या है, प्रोटॉन नंबर क्या है लिथियम का?
3।
सही है. अच्छा, अब लिथियम का जो प्रोटॉन नंबर इट्स 3, राइट. सो हाइड्रोजन का 1 है.
एक जी
क्या क्या कह रहे हो?
मैं कह रहा हूँ एक एक शेयर इंक्रीज हो रहा है ना।
यस, यस एग्जैक्टली. सो हाइड्रोजन का जो प्रोटॉन नंबर है इट्स 1, राइट. सो दैट मीन्स इट हैज 1 इलेक्ट्रॉन. आई डोंट नो मैंने 2 क्यों बना दिया इधर, वेट. आई नो व्हाई आई ड्यू दिस इलेक्ट्रॉन राइट हियर. सो hydrogen has only like 1 electron in its outermost shell, and it has one occupied shell. Lithium has a proton number of 3, right? 2 वाला नहीं है कोई भी element, I think. सही है. So yes, 2 वाला element नहीं है. So lithium has a proton number of 3. So that means if we fill up the shells of lithium, so 1, 2, and then we have to draw another shell, right, to accommodate the last electron. So the number of occupied shells are 1 and 2. That's why lithium belongs to the second period, right? Now, Now let's look at, for example, sodium. Okay, sodium has a proton number of 11, right? So sodium में फर्स्ट शेल में 2 आ गए, राइट, सेकंड में 8 आ गए, ठीक है, एंड थर्ड वाला बनाना पड़ेगा, ठीक है, 8 9 10, एंड यू हैव टू मेक वन मोर टू accommodate the last electron. So the number of occupied shells is 3 for sodium. That's why it belongs to the period 3, right? So the period number जो होता है ना, it basically tells you कि how many shells are being occupied by the electrons in that atom, right? There's another important property which is predicted by period number, and that is the reactivity of that element. Okay, it tells you the reactivity of that element. So, for example, uh, let's say, for example, let's say we have lithium and we have sodium, right? अभी अभी मैं वैसे ही बता रहा हूँ as an example. Lithium is less reactive than sodium. Okay, it's a fact. Okay, so as you move down the group one, okay, or as the period number increases, say from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 7 8, right, the reactivity of the elements increases, right? So if you move down the group one, when you study group one, so you'll see that reactivity increase karti, ठीक है? It's a property of group one which you need to know. So the reactivity increases, right? And that is because the period number increases, right? And why does the period number predict the reactivity? That's because consider, अब मुझे बताओ कि जो metals होते हैं, do they lose electrons or do they gain electrons easily?
Lose electrons.
Lose, right? Aslan, समझ आ रही है ना?
Yeah.
Do you understand अभी तक क्या क्या पढ़ा है?
Yeah.
Okay, so metals, they lose electrons, right? It's easier for metals to lose electrons, so they are basically reducing agents. But as you move down the group one, we said that if you move down the group one, the reactivity of these metals increases. And that's because the period number increases, right? So what happens is that as the period number increases, the number of shells also increases, right? So if there's an element A, okay, and if you move down the group, the number of occupied shells will increase. So the outermost electron, I told you guys in earlier lectures that the outermost electron is actually the electron which is concerned with the bonding and the reactions, right? All chemical reactions are uh, the outermost electrons are is concerned with that. So if the number of shells is increasing, is this outermost electron moving away from the nucleus or towards the nucleus? Aslan,
Away.
away. Yes. Okay, exactly. It's moving away from the nucleus. So Uh, tell me, what is the charge on the nucleus? Positive,
Neutral.
positive, positive. ठीक है, न्यूक्लियस के
Oh,
ऊपर
sorry,
हमेशा
sorry.
पॉजिटिव
G
चार्ज होता है
positive.
because it contains protons. And what are the charge on electrons? Negative, right? So if this electron is moving away and away, farther away from the nucleus, so the
Force
force
of
of,
attraction.
yes, exactly, excellent. ठीक है, the force of
Force of
attraction,
अच्छा समझा समझा.
हाँ, the force of attraction will get weaker and weaker, ठीक है, and this electron will, it will be easier for this electron to just move away, for this electron to just be lost to another element, right? So this force of attraction becomes weaker and weaker, and this electron is easily lost. So that's why the elements reactivity increases down the group, right? So that's for periods, okay, and that's all for periods. And I think pretty much explained why, what is period number, what does it tell you, and what is its importance, right? So if you have any questions to ask.